Time to plant some trees. Alright, so if you saw in the last video, we're working on a feudal Japanese table, which could be used for medieval games or stuff like that. So right now it's here, but it's empty. So the next thing I wanted to do is I want to add trees to it. Now, the thing is I did a few videos on this stuff, okay? And I made these trees, and I always loved the way they looked, all right? They are these trees are probably older than people watching them, but because they're actually metal and stuff. But I really wanted to use them sentimental reasons and things like that. But it just, no matter what I did, I've put spray glue on it. I've done all this other stuff to it to make it stick. I've added more foliage to it. I've done it. Whatever I do, it's constantly falling off. The stuff is falling off. The table gets full of it. So what I did was I found a Kickstarter and some files that I want to print up as trees to see what it looks like to go with it. And they look pretty good, but let's get to work. So we're going to print and paint some trees. All right, so the trees are coming from the Monster Scenery Metropolis of Monster Fight Club. This was an urban STLs that they came out with, but they came out some great rocks and trees, and that's what we're going to focus on. All right, so I already have it all queued up in Cura for you guys to check out, and it looks really cool. I printed them on the sides like this. As far as what I used to print them, it was the Chet Fast and Rough, and only thing that I changed was I put the tree supports, not 1, 2, 3, but tree, and they are going to support this because you can't just let it support that way. And other than that, I really didn't change it other than the temperatures. And if you notice, okay, it's going to have to print with the tree supporting the tree. Now the thing is I tried it with and without, and it didn't work without, and you're going to have to waste some filament, but it comes out great. And now if you notice here, the blue part, which is the support, as the tree is on top, I printed exactly how it came down onto the support, onto the build plate, and the supports came right off. So I just kind of took this part off first, that part off first, and the tree just kind of came out of a 1, 2, 3 cocoon. I didn't break any stems and stalks, nothing. It just came out 1, 2, 3. So it's not too bad. 8 hours. This is a large tree. The other tree took about 6 hours because it is a medium tree, but it's definitely worth it because this was a really, really nice print. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the foliage. Okay, so here are the leaves, the top of the tree. Doesn't look like much here, but it really really comes out great. Okay, nice, and it goes right on top. It's nice and sturdy. Here's the change I did. I didn't generate a support. There are no supports here. Okay, so the reason being is I'll show you in the next segment, but it'll take about 11 hours 21 minutes. Took about 11. It was like really about 10:50 in reality. Okay, so here is the preview, and what you'll see is as we break it down, there is no support holding it on the inside. Okay, it is just straight up tree here. Okay, nothing inside. It'll really cut down your time because when I first did it, there were a lot. I mean, it was almost triple the time. This was like I'd say a 27, 28 hour print. So by doing that and leaving it out really made a difference. So what I'll do in the next segment, I'm going to show you why I did that. All right, so here are the two trees. This would be the large and this would be the medium tree on the left. So what I like about this, let's look at the large tree first. So what I really like is this, watch. And now I have a tree. And you can use that, let's say a winter scene or whatever, and then these guys go right on top. And the beauty of it is they look pretty good. All right, so I'm going to put some paint on these, and this one too. But the print came out really well. It's I don't know if it's hard to see, but it is textured. So I want to see what happens when I'm going to throw some rattle can browns on it. And I got two types of green for the top trees here. But this is very versatile because of the fact that, you know, once you take this off, now we also have like a winter scene here, or a dead tree scene, or something like that. And I got to tell you, the print came out great. Now I just want to go over something about the prints. All right, so this is the first time I printed this. What I did was I had an infill, you know, like the tree structures, and some of them came up the sides and whatever. But here's the thing. Watch this. All right, so look at that. So it's completely come here, and it filled up. But the thing was, printing this, and you know, as the support for that, took double the time. And I said, you know what? Let me just take a shot, and we'll print it without doing the supports. And I got to tell you, they came out great. They came out 1, 2, 3. So now there was a little support here, holding it onto the print bed. But other than that, it printed up really well. All right, so that's the inside. That's just me. I put an L there to tell me that this is a large tree. And, you know, it came out great with no support. So I would suggest, if you're going to do this, I would try, just in general, try to do a print without the support, so that'll save you a lot of filament. I mean, this is a ton of filament. And my nephew came over yesterday and said, why don't you just paint this anyway? It could be like an alien plant or alien rock or Tyranid thing. So nothing's going to go to waste. So I'm going to hold on to this. But yeah, but to save the filament, I mean, and printing it in half the time was a big deal. So that's just one little tip I would say, is like, try it. You know, you could try it, but you know, there are things that need that support. Obviously, this one didn't. So let's throw some paint on these guys. All right, so these are the two paints that I use. I use the satin, the espresso satin, and a nutmeg. And I gotta tell you, these paints are really good because I just use them as a primer and a base coat, and they really worked great. So what I did was I did this one first, cover the whole tree, and then from here, using the nutmeg, I did a kind of a zenithal, just kind of spraying it all over, and the result was this. So the trees, I'm really happy with the way they came out. Okay, you know, if you look at them this way, you know, I wanted the light here so that when I use them as such, just like that, they would be dead trees, or maybe in the winter or whatnot, they would be pretty good there. And I'm not going to do anything to them. The only thing I want to do is fill up this owl hole here. So I'm going to take my handy dandy homemade brown wash, and I'm filling up the hole here, and I'm just going to really give it a nice little dollop there, and then just let that sit. It'll take about 10 or 15 minutes. I'm going to put it in the fan and then turn it over and do that. So I'm going to do all the trees, and then we'll come back to here. All right, so for the leaves, I started with this hunter green satin, and then I used the spring green gloss. Now, what's great about these paints are they're really cheap. This was like almost $4 at Home Depot. Can't go wrong with it. It works good. It lasts long, and it just holds on to it. And it's good old Rust-Oleum. I mean, I've been using Rust-Oleum. I remember in the enamel paints, you used to use the white spirits all the time. It was that's what you needed. But let's look at the trees here. So what I did was I hit it with the hunter green first all over, and then with the spring green, what I did was I just kind of picked and chose the high points. All right, so if you could see here, I picked a lot of the high points and whatnot. So now what I want to do is just kind of pick out the some of the raised areas, just to give it a little bit more depth and definition. So with that, I'm going to use the Ceramicoat Lime Sorbet. All right, so if you see, I got it for 97 cents on clearance. but I'll be honest with you, I just had this lying around. I tried it on the other trees and it worked out great, so we're going to get to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dry brush right now. Okay, so hopefully you know how to dry brush, but if not, take a little dollop off here and you get most of the paint over here. So I'm not going too hard on this, you know, getting the paint off, and I just want to kind of lightly touch it. So maybe a wet dry brush. I'm just trying to pick off the raised edges. I don't want to lose all the hunt green and the spring green that's on there. You know, really the hunter green in the depths. All right, there we go. I think it's looking pretty good. A little less is more, because I don't want to do everything. I just want to kind of pick pieces where it might work, so that you get a little bit more depth. So there's some darkness and some lights and stuff, and you want to fool around with it to make it look good. My thing is how is it going to look on the table? So once you get on the table, that's the real test of how you did. But as of now, I think it looks pretty damn good. Alright, so here are the final trees that I did. These guys are the large trees, these are medium trees, and also in the same process was some bushes. This is the large, medium, and small, and I kind of have a theme, you know, with the green. This is maybe a spring or summertime that is blooming. So if you see these trees, what I like about them is, like I showed you before, we could always go here. So here is the final painted, and there is the tree itself. Now if you look at the other tree, this one is more of an organic tree, but it's falling apart. You can see the stuff falling down, and so that's why I thought that these would be better, because there are a billion times, and no matter how careful you are, you always like want to move your model and then something happens and it'll fall. So these just go right back. Now they're not indestructible, but they're a little bit more durable, and there's nothing falling apart on it. So I'm really happy the way they look. So what I want to do is add this to the table that you saw at the beginning to show you how it would look on the table with the rest of the terrain. Alright, so here's the table. Here are the trees added in. You know, once you start to put stuff together with what we had before, it starts to come to life, and it starts to be almost like a real town. That's why I wanted to print it this way. The old terrain, the new trees, the old lanterns and stuff, everything printed with the stuff that we had before really makes a huge difference. I think this brings another level of depth, and it really kind of secures the fact that this is a small village somewhere. You know, as we're doing the games, we spend a lot of time on the miniatures, but I think time is not added to the terrain. I think it's important to the terrain because, you know, you see the miniatures, but the first thing you're really going to see is the board, and it's important to do that. So that's why we're trying to upgrade our playing table. So this is going to be great for like Test of Honor, going to be great for Mortal Gods. Even the other day we played 40K using just the houses and the trees as line of sight block and stuff like that. You know, maybe a planet that wasn't grimdark yet, it just got there. So this is some good stuff. The only thing I would say is I'm going to print up probably, I say about 6 or 7 more trees, and I'm going to hit them with some fall colors. If you want to see that video, let me know. But I think just adding to it, I'm printing, as we speak, we're printing more bushes up just to put them around as little line of sight blocking where guys can hide behind anything. But I think this brings another layer of depth to the table, brings it to life, so to say. But I really appreciate you guys watching this video. It's a blast to do this stuff. I hope you learned something from it. If you like videos like this, why don't you consider subscribing if this is your first time here. We also have a Patreon that helps us buy the filament and paints to help us do things like this. Okay, we also have a Discord server, and in it is a 3D printing chat where we talk about all stuff like this, troubleshooting, whatnot. It's awesome. You should really get involved in that. And if you can, throw a comment below, even if it's just to say hello, it'd be great. And spread it around if you can. We can get this message out there. It helps us get the word out. But thanks again, and I will see you in the next video.